So everyone who makes it to the 1% in net worth, in business, in physique, with dating, all went through pain and all are coming from pain. As Dr. John D. Martini says, voids create values. So the guy with the $10 million net worth had a big void for lack of money. Usually, in a lot of cases, he grew up poor, like me, and felt consistently and over long periods of time the pain of not having money, of having one pair of sweatpants that your mom would have to sew up and yell at you that you ripped the kneecap. Or he was coming from a wealthy family and it would have been extremely painful for him not to succeed at a certain level when all his peers and classmates um, were at that certain level of wealth, and it would have been very painful for him not to reach that, because in that sort of upper class society, status and wealth is everything. And if you come from a good family and you're not able to achieve a certain amount on your own, it's very painful for those types of people. And he might need 100 million to feel like he's beaten the people that he grew up with. It's the same with scaling in business, right? If money is your major pain point, almost everyone who's in the top 1% in business had finances as their major pain point until it was solved. It's the same with physique. If you look at me now, I'm in pretty good shape. When I was younger, I was quite skinny. Didn't like it, but didn't like girls looking at me as the cute little boy instead of someone who's strong and masculine. And I saw guys who were in good shape getting a lot of women, and that was enough reason for me to start working out in high school. If you take a guy further along who's, let's say, 6 foot, 240 pounds, solid muscle, vascular, he's on steroids, he's on TRT, he's on HGH, he's on SARMs, he's on perhaps more things. His pain point was even bigger, right? If he's gone that far to become a professional bodybuilder with all the health risks it entails and carrying maybe an extra 100 pounds on his frame, which is a lot on the heart and the joints, that's a lot of pain to go through, which means that he had to have a greater amount of pain not having that. He had to have a greater amount of pain because he might also have felt skinny and small as a kid. I wasn't bullied, but he might have been bullied, or in combination of them, he also might have been beaten by his father and felt small and insignificant in that way, in combination with what he was feeling socially and not able to get the girls that he wanted. And so he overcorrected to the extreme and became a professional bodybuilder, right? But ultimately, getting to the 1% in any area, business, net worth, bodybuilding, with dating, comes from a massive pain point of not having it. And all those things are very painful to achieve and are required sustained work over a decade when everyone else is partying and doing dumb shit. So the pain of getting those things must be less than the pain of not having them. You really have to have major pain points to get to the top 1% in whatever you're doing. And that's why most people never succeed in anything, because they're not able to dig in and find that actual pain and take it as a gun to your head, like, I need to have this, right? It's painful in some cases, but then they will divert that pain into distractions, into drinking and video games, and leave that pain at their job. They don't like their job, but they work it from Monday to Friday. They just make it to Friday and then they go out and drink or, smoke or play video games or whatever it is so that it can avoid that pain. And they might look into starting a business, but it's too hard and they quit, or maybe they failed their first one and quit, and that's it because it really wasn't painful enough. If their actual survival depended on it, right, everyone would have a success. And that is how people that actually are successful treat it. You treat that pain as solving it as a non-negotiable. You set a target, you set a standard, and you have a higher standard that you stick to, and it's a non-negotiable, and you are living for that standard. And that's what's required for the success, because it's, to get success in terms of wealth, everyone wants it, so it's extremely competitive. You have to have a higher pain tolerance than 99% of your competitors if you want that top 1% business, at least in the early stages till you have the money to hire people. There's no other way. And that's just the reality of it that a lot of people don't want to understand. And it's something that I've been preaching here since 2012, that this entrepreneurship stuff is not fun like a Gary Vee makes it out to be, at least in the initial stages. It's only fun once you have a good amount of income coming in and some operators under you, and then your life is much easier than when you were working a job. But the price point to success is always, if you want 1%, if you want to be the 1% in anything, you have to have a higher pain tolerance than 99% of people, and a higher work ethic to continue working at that level in pain than those 99% of people. And when it gets really painful, your pain tolerance is high enough not to quit. And you never quit. You just die in the midst of reaching one of your goals, right? So that's the first thing, is pain is the price for pushing past plateaus in every realm of the game of life. The next thing you need to understand is uncertainty. Okay, uncertainty stops a lot of guys. They might have a high pain tolerance, but they don't know when it's going to end. They don't know when they're going to get that win. It's more applicable to business and net worth. I think it's less applicable to, let's say, a physique goal where you can see progress. You know that at a certain level you might have to get on TRT to earn some more. It's quite easy to measure out where you'll be over a year, 2 years. But on things that are more difficult and complex, like the wealth game, a lot of guys, you might be watching this right now at 6 figures thinking like, when am I getting to 300? I've tried all these things, whatever. Maybe it's not going to happen. And that's a real killer, is the uncertainty, right? Because you could run on a treadmill at 10 minutes for a full sprint if you had to for $1 million, right? By the last 2 minutes, you're dying, but you're pushing it because you know you've got your mil or 3 mil or whatever. But if someone just told you to jog at a reasonable speed for $1 million, and you don't know when it's going to end, and you've been going for 10 hours, right? That's a lot harder in a sense, because even though it's a more reasonable speed, even if it's a slow speed, that guy might have you on there for 3 days or 15 days. You don't know. But it also might be over in an hour, and you just hopped off the treadmill and cost yourself $1 million, right? And that's the case a lot of the time when you're trying to do something complex, like net worth or building out businesses and things of that nature. And the pain tolerance is required there. And the reason the pain tolerance is required is because you're setting a standard and you're like, I'm hitting this no matter what before I die. If I don't hit it, it's not because I quit, right? It's because I died in the process. And then so your mind becomes, all right, that didn't work. What's the thing that's going to get me there? What do I have to do? Instead of, oh man, I'm tired of this. Maybe I should give up. It's just not an option. It's not an option because the pain of not having it is greater than any amount of sacrifice you have to make to get it, right? And because your pain levels are higher than your competition, you don't quit and you do what it takes to make your targets. And because your pain levels of not having it are higher than your competition, then your pain tolerance levels for doing the thing becomes higher. And you can take any amount of uncertainty because you've resolved not to stop until you hit that standard, right? And once you hit that standard, you probably set another goal, right? So that's very important to understand.